Good evening, everybody. Yes, indeed, it's the Old Wolf with you, coming at you live from Rochester, New York. Tuesday, February 7, 2023. Another episode of the Witch and the Wolf Wisdom Podcast. Good evening, Marcia, Patine, Pauline, everybody, anybody. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for not. So, yes, here we are again. Tonight's episode, Interview with a Witch. Ashley Hart of Hart's Creations, who's a good friend of ours, fellow sister, witch. Gonna be an interesting little evening. How it be? Patine, there is no list. Tonight is not a night of readings. It is a night of conversation, comedy, music, and anything in between. So yeah, Tuesday nights are not like Shiya's other nights. And we blame the witch for that because, yes. But listen, you're welcome to hang out with us and chill.
Yes, I always enjoy your company, Patine.
So yes, she's here, but this is my time. It's the wolf's hour, or 2 hours. Sometimes I take it even longer. It depends on, hey, how's it going?
Occasionally I let him off his chain.
Yes, sometimes I get to come out of the fucking doll and actually, look, I'm a real boy. So yeah, tonight, finally, I'm going to get my sister, Ashley Hart, to come on. She was a little like, what do I say? What do I do? I'm just like, be yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, what people, I think, really appreciate more than anything else. Don't get me wrong. We all love a good puff of smoke up our ass every now and then, but hey.
That was an interesting
listen, truth is powerful. And I consider my sister a powerful person.
Oh, yeah. Ashley Hart is definitely one of the most genuine people. I've known her for years now. And she's an amazing person. She's an inspiration to me. You guys wonder where some of my inspiration comes from? It is this witch that is getting interviewed tonight.
There you have it from the witch. So, yes, we're going to get to that a little bit later this evening. First, foremost, and always like to make a point. The views, expressions, opinions, fuckeries expressed are mine and mine alone, unless you decide you want to share with them too, which you're more than happy to, because we don't fucking care. The memes and stuff that I'm putting up, obviously I did not create, using the context of, free usage and for public discussion, dissemination, educational purposes, and as my sister Jen says, sex, drugs, rock and roll, and everything in between.
And as the witch puts it, equal opportunity, humor, and assholery.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit it from both ends of the spectrum, because one of the things...
You're gonna hit it from both ends?
Yeah, because listen...
Well, that's gonna be a trick at once?
I believe... Well, no. We'll leave it to the witch to come out with some
fuckery,
ding-a-ling, ding-ding, ding-a-ling. And this is what happens during a live podcast. But no, I believe that understanding the dynamics of what drives, comedy to certain degrees, especially in the analogy when you look at some of the polarization between, left and right, and I say those both with because I think most of us are somewhere in the fucking middle. We don't want to deal with the craziness. We're tired of the fucking stupidity. Yeah. And most of us just want to be fucking left alone. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But I have hope. I have faith. I don't want to hate on anybody. But, if you're acting like a fucking asshole, then I'm sorry. Sometimes we just really...
Gotta call it.
We just gotta call it out. Now,
call it duck a duck.
Now, granted, I'm one of those people that believe that we have definitely swung too far into the extreme. We're canceling people for stupid shit, and then other people are running around that are just like serial monsters.
Let me wave my dick.
That we're just like, oh no, but it's okay for him or it's okay for her. But then somebody fucks up, and you know what I mean. And again, context is important. So we're going to start it off before we have Ashley come on to talk about some different things. Just a little bit
of humor.
Well, not just humor, but a little bit of reflective dynamic of some of the things happening in the world. Okay. One of the things I've been trying to, we'll call it my current events.
Oh.
segment. So,
okay, your current event segment.
right. And if you don't see anything on the screen for teen, I would just say you should probably just see Join the Wolfpack. It should just be a big graphic. I'm not on.
Not a video here.
Yeah, there's no video going on right now.
There will be
There'll be some
graphics,
graphics.
but it's mostly an audible thing.
Right. There'll things that'll pop up, but this goes out in a variety of different formats. So a lot of people listen to this. They don't actually watch it. So we try and cover both ends of the spectrum. So yeah, sometimes Facebook can be funny. Sometimes YouTube can be funny, and because we're out on a couple different platforms, depending upon.
Sometimes the wolf and the witch can be funny.
Well, sometimes, yes.
But looks aren't everything.
But yes, thank you. It's like old school radio.
Yes.
Thank you. Listen, I grew up listening to old LP. Like the first comedy that I really got exposed to was I was kind of fucking stealing my mom's, comedy album, shit like Richard Pryor and George Carlin, Lenny Bruce. You know what I mean? And it was definitely, not ready for prime time and definitely not safe for work type of stuff. Anybody that knows Richard Pryor, you know what I mean? If you've seen his comedy, you knew that man did not fuck around. George Carlin, same analogy. Lenny Bruce, even more so. Lenny Bruce he would go before an audience and just go off into a complete fucking tangent for an hour and a half. And he wouldn't even pay attention to the fucking audience. He'd just be like, hey, this is what's going down. You can either come along for the ride or fuck you, get off.
Right.
So yeah, I try and incorporate some of that old dynamic, obviously, within, the scope of the music. The track that played opening up the show is a new track that I just finished working on. It is
today.
It is the theme for Tales from the Indigo Monkey, a project that my son is working on. It's going to be kind of a Critical Role inspired D&D / anime / podcast / storytelling / all around bad acid trip.
Or good acid trip.
Well, depending upon how you roll this in. I mean, again,
roll a 1, it's definitely going to be a bad.
Right. If you fail your saving throws and you take psychic damage, that's on you. There will be a disclaimer that this project may cause psychic trauma.
Not for the faint of heart.
The song was, again, and I don't do a lot of stuff outside the box, but I've been doing more. I've been doing meditation stuff, working with Shiya, doing more classical composition. So this was kind of an anime-inspired, upbeat, kind of, poppy thing. And it was designed in the element for this project. So for my son, the Indigo Monkey, that was the theme track from Tales of the Indigo Monkey, which will be out sometime later in the year. We don't have any definitive dates. A lot of stuff going into the production of that whole thing. Yep. That will not be a live thing. That will be an actual produced something.
Something or another.
Something or another.
Now, I will say this. I wake up this morning and I am told, oh yeah, I have your theme song and I have the Monkeys theme song. So the very first thing I got this morning was getting to hear music that somehow...
Yeah, I wrote something for
last night and this morning. You managed to compose 2 brand new songs.
Sometimes I get...
And expand a third one.
When the universe sets you on fire, you have to burn with it. So that's what I do. So sometimes I write a lot at once, and then I won't write anything. I've been struggling with whatever
Did you even sleep last night?
I don't know if I slept last night, but I've also been struggling with either some COVID-inspired variant or other, touch of death. Flu, swine, pig, asshole, bug, whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? There's so many different things floating around there. I can't even pay attention to it. I can't keep track of it. Short of wrapping myself up in saran wrap and teleporting between places, I don't know that there's any place to hide anymore. I don't know that there's any way to avoid any of this shit.
My hometown friend managed to get
fucking COVID a second time and go into the fucking hospital and
whatever, but it was...
So listen, everybody try and stay out there. It's a shitty time of the year. The weather's been fucking crazy. We got nailed with a polar vortex the other day. It was like the same temperature as Mars. So I don't know what's going on. Call it whatever you want, but the planet, I think, is fucking pissed off. bunch of earthquakes in Turkey. You know, wipe out thousands of people. There was a fucking 3.8 or 3.4 earthquake right up the road here in Buffalo. I mean, you know, listen, I understand why religious people are running around. It's the end times. It's the end. You know what I mean? Because depending upon where you're standing.
If Mother Nature ain't happy,
the world's going fucking berserk.
Yes.
You know, if it's not a volcano exploding, you know, fucking ground shaking, you know, planet freezing.
We will get through this,
infectious
people. Don't panic.
And here's the best of it all, okay?
Oh, God.
The mushrooms have had enough. They're coming for us all.
Oh, yeah.
Will you be
watching The Last
of Us? Because that shit's real. That's how they work. That's actual science. This is just like Star Trek. This is a precursor into our fucking future. Oh, where the mushrooms are going to take back the fucking planet.
You are going to have the conspiracy flooding to your podcasting.
Speaking.
This guy is so woke.
Speaking. Listen, I'm going to get to some of the submissions. Everybody that's been submitting stuff, thank you so much. Please keep them coming. Yes. I'm going to try and use everything that comes through, again, as long as it doesn't go so far outside the fucking box.
Everybody's submission that gets used on the podcast gets an entry into getting a free private reading.
Indeed. Yes, Wolfman Jackson. That's right. We're going to make it a show. Going to make it a show, baby. Yeah, here we come. I can't do him the same way anymore. A buddy of mine used to be able to do him really good. I like voices. You know, voices I think are reflective, again, within the dynamic of storytelling. So, although he's been a big fan of the literal word.
You don't say.
No, I do say.
Oh, no, you don't
I've said it before, and I'll say it again.
I've got a video. So, yeah. You don't say.
I mean, again, I try and do something, and then she threatens me with the fucking doll. Okay, this is my world. This is why I have to come out here.
Poor wolf.
And literally, this is my therapy. This is my fucking defense against the insanity. This is so I don't go out and shed blood everywhere. So yes, it's crazy like that sometimes. But anyway, what's going on in the world besides fucking earthquakes and deep freezes and shit like that? Well, this just in, and you know, I'm going to kind of play it this way. And like I said, I'm going to play it both sides because I think it's, you know, it needs to be fair, but I don't know, you know. This is me. This is my thoughts as the Chinese spy balloon passed overhead.
Woohoo!
Okay. Yes. That is my asshole spread wide to the sky.
Cock and balls included.
Yep. Franken beans, everything's in play. Okay. That's just how I feel.
You want a good view?
About it. But other people feel differently. Like this. This is one of the latest pictures of the Chinese spy balloon. Now, I use this for a specific reason, and this is in solidarity with an old friend of mine, many, many years, a guy by the name of Mark, that got flagged on fucking Facebook, for whatever reason, Facebook, all right, considering the amount of insane, ridiculous shit that goes on every minute of every fucking day on social media. This got him clipped. Okay, I don't know what about this is fucking...
Is there Frank and Bean showing?
No, it's Hunter Biden on a bunch of fucking balloons, okay? So listen, a lot of people got issue with that, and this is how they translate their frustration is into sarcasm, satire, and comedy, okay? This doesn't... Please, figure out what the fuck you need to censor and what the fuck is comedy, okay? Get yourself a couple of fucking comedy writers on board, okay? Listen, we work cheap, man. We just enjoy the joke.
Especially at 3 in the morning.
But my brother, listen, you keep on doing what you're doing out there, Mark. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Left or right, in the middle, fucking, I don't care if they identify as a fucking Hungry Man TV dinner, okay? Hold the line, my friend. There's honor in this. He knows what I'm talking about. Now, again, in the same light, this is one of the memes that has just recently arrived onto the scene. And for those of you who can't see it, the top half of it is just, Joe Biden with Joe's, yeah, we're doing good, look. And the context is, I protected our assets from Chinese surveillance by having the balloon shot once it moved over the ocean. The bottom panel is Patrick from SpongeBob, with a look of disdain, and his statement simply is, I wipe first, then poop. Analogy?
Listen, backwards.
Listen, a lot of people are looking at this and just said, well, it just flew over the fucking country and did whatever it was going to fucking do, and then you decide to shoot it down. Now, in fairness, me personally, I've known and I've heard stories about these fucking things for years. I'm not a Pentagon guy. I'm not a defense guy. And if I knew about these fucking things, then you goddamn better believe that everybody else who matters has known about these things. The simple truth is, up until this point, nobody gave a shit. But somebody got freaked out and was just like, hey, hey, hey. Now, this usually goes back to this particular dynamic. What do you think that they saw? Well, this is what the Chinese spy balloon sees while traveling through America. Yes, and for those of you who don't remember this classic meme that has now been chopped up a million times overwards, it's that lovely couple throwing shit at the fucking little fucking drone flying by. Now you can make some analogies. You can say, well, that's just meant to make fun of us that you call rednecks and hillbillies. Yeah, you're right. So anyway.
Yeah, I'd be trying to shoot it down.
Now, I personally, and again, here's the other side of the dynamic. This was from another set of cameras, and this was their close-up of the Chinese balloon. Now, me personally, that's a whole lot more fucking terrifying to me. Okay? Like, I'd rather deal with UFOs than that kind of shit. But that's just me personally. But you can see, depending upon, where you happen to live or what you happen to be smoking, how this little scenario, plays out. And the comedic elements is be vigilant, because communism is coming. Those of you that know what that is and know what that reference is, for those of you that can see it, it's a graphic, email Old Wolf or Wolf at Old Wolf. See, I don't even know my own fucking email address.
You're the old
Yes.
You're Wolf.
Wolf at oldwolfmusic.com for a special shout out. Done. So yeah, this whole fucking balloon thing, to me, is absolutely insane, okay? And I think there's only one person really that can sum it up, and that's my friend the Joker. And this, I think, is the best fucking meme to really encapsulate this whole goddamn moment, okay? And it basically says this: phone apps spy on us 24 hours a day, recording every single aspect of our lives. People see a stupid balloon, and everybody loses their fucking mind. Now, I threw the fucking part in for myself just because, again, for intellectual property rights, I have now changed the fucking meme. Okay?
You don't fucking say.
Yeah, I have to fucking say it.
Okay.
But here it is. Okay, really, please, for the love of Christ, just do a little bit, just a little bit of research. Like this guy, Tim Young, who says, so, everyone freaking out about one Chinese spy balloon when over 80 million people in the U.S. have TikTok on their phones. Okay?
Somebody actually didn't believe the other day that the Chinese were using TikTok.
Jesus Christ. Okay, it's their company. Okay? They built it for this very dynamic. They're like, okay, what's the best way to get people to invite us into their homes so we can know everything that's going on? They're like fucking vampires, okay? They're just like, let us in, and boom, here it is, a social media app for free that everybody can do their jingly jinglies and have at it, okay? People, I say this all the time, and this is not to point the finger at anybody. We just need to understand a little bit more about the world that we live in. What was magic 200 years ago is now technology. And that technology is just as dangerous, regardless of whatever you want to fucking call it, okay? Your credit cards, your social security card, your driver's license, your bank account, your phones, your computer, everything right now, okay, as we are having our little live interaction, there's a man in a suit somewhere with a pair of glasses taking notes. That's right, buddy. I know you're sitting out there. It's cool. I don't hold it personally against you. I'm glad that at least some of our tax dollars are actually paying somebody to fucking do something so you can take this back to the man. Suck my balls. Okay? There it is. Suck my balls. I'm sorry. Listen, I love this country.
Not sorry.
No, I am. Because I don't want it to have to be this way, but somebody has to be the voice of fucking reason. All right, it's like we have a bunch of sixth graders running the show, and they're all on fucking sugar highs, and they're shitting themselves, and there's boogers everywhere, and there's just fucking chaos.
I would expect sixth graders to have a little
oh my God.
That, but
and again, a lot of these dynamics just go back into, this overwhelming narrative of, chaos and confrontation. So yeah, there's that. Again, depending upon where you're at, some things are funny. I thought the fucking Hunter Biden and the balloon thing was actually funny. I'm not, really buy into the conspiracy end of it. I think they're all fucking shady. So it's not like there isn't a case to be made that, making all kinds of millions of dollars, after coming off a how many year fucking crack binge. Not many people actually can pull that shit off, but hey, again, there is a difference between, hateful shit and just, comedy and sarcasm. That's how it works. People should be allowed to express those dynamics just as much as, when fucking Trump acts like an idiot. Guess what? Make a fucking meme. Put it out there. Call him out on his fat ass. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Just, again, be cognitive. We don't want to be hateful. I mean, again, to some degrees, it really just depends on your end of it. And we'll end this segment with the Dos Equis man, and I think this is a great meme. And he just simply says, I'm usually not into misogyny and sexual assault, but if I was, Candace Owens would defend me. Stay hateful, my friends. So, yeah, some people feel that way. Some people don't. Some of the shit I see says, what the fuck, man? But hey, that's just me. So we're going to take a quick break with a track that I did last year with a couple people that I know. It was kind of a memorial track. So it's got that, double-edged bitterness to it, but we were all really proud to do it. It's a song, again, that speaks to us. So kind of, I try and put it on periodically, but we're going to click back into that for a couple minutes, and then we're going to be back with my sister, Ashley Hart. So enjoy a little bit of the Mama Rocks, and we'll be back in a couple of moments.
Hey mama, let us show you all the things you have forgotten. The things you have forgotten. It wasn't so long ago. We all danced around the fire. Stories to the children, laughing with their wonder. must give you all the dreams you have forgotten. Lost amongst the memories of the things you desire. The power of a smile made stronger with your laughter, with your laughter, with your laughter. Remember who you are. Don't let them bring you down. If you could only say the way we say you still, the magic is in your heart. Your destiny will carry with you. In the arms of her mother. It's simple, don't you say the question was always the answer. Hey mama, let me show you all the things. Hey mama, let's give you all the dreams. Mama rocks, remember who you are. Don't let them bring you down. If you could only say the way we say you still, the magic is in your heart. Your destiny will carry with you. In the arms of a mother. It's simple, don't you say the question was always the answer. Things you have forgotten. This time again you'll see. So let's dance around the fire. So let's dance around the fire.
All right, yeah, that was Mama Rock's a track that we did last year. Myself, my son, Jeff Thal, a friend of ours, Tom Hampton, guitar player with Poco, Tony Rodriguez did some bass track work, and my brother Matt Brown did the primary vocals. I see my sister Shiya.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, she's another one of our musical collaborators. So, without further ado, kicking and screaming, dragging to the stage, butt-ass naked for everybody to see, yes, my sister Ashley Hart. So, Ashley, why don't you say hi to all these good people looking at you now?
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, we were talking about this before.
And everybody's going to be like, where's Ashley Hart? They don't see her.
Yes,
there's nothing on
because
screen.
she and I are both in Shiya's dolls right now, and we're just talking to each other because all we can really do is hang on the wall now. So that's really what this podcast is. Shiya just kind of mics it up, and then whatever soul she has trapped in one of her fucking dolls, that's how it goes. So we're trapped
I've become
right
an
now,
expert of
and
soul collection.
all we have is to have these conversations now. Now, all joking aside, for those of you who don't know, Ashley Hart is a good friend of ours and is also I guess you say the creator, proprietary, owner, all-around design witch for a little something called Hart's Creations. And it starts, within the baseline dynamic of dream catchers, and her tag is dream catchers with intention. So I figured that was a good a place to start with. I mean, again, in an interview with a witch, first thing you got to talk about is, hey, what kind of powers does this witch have? Is she a scary witch? Is she a good witch? Does she blow bubbles out her ass? Will she destroy you with a look? I think my sister could do all of the above and then more, but why don't you tell us a little bit about Hart's Creations and where it all came from?
Okay, well, I started my business strictly because I got into a work accident and I was unable to continue to work in the workforce. So I had to find other ways to make money. And I've been making dream catchers since I was 12 years old. But I decided that I was going to take it to a new level to try and help people, sleep better. And sorry, I'm kind of nervous.
Yes, well, that's what happens when you're on stage naked in front of thousands of people across the globe.
When you say work accident, this isn't your standard work accident. I slipped and broke my leg. No, you literally had your head bashed in at work. And it's a damn miracle that you're walking around today.
Yes, absolutely. I was hit with a 1,200-pound rock feeder door in the head, neck, and spine. Mm-hmm. So it did damage to my head. It did damage to my spine. And WCB wouldn't do surgery to help me. They said it was too risky. I could end up being paralyzed.
So how did you were a very crafty person and started doing your crafts at that point, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how did your magic come about into that?
Well, after the accident, I started noticing I was opening up in a way. So I was hearing voices, I was seeing things, vivid dreams and stuff like that. So I had to investigate a little bit further. So I started researching on the internet and then finding groups and stuff like that to kind of learn why all of this started happening.
So you started opening up to your gifts because of this near-death experience, pretty much.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Now,
they came at me full force.
Now, you mentioned you had been doing dream catchers and things before that. So do you feel that you had a connection with this before, but maybe, again, just didn't realize it?
Yes, I feel that I was walking this path my whole life without knowing. Didn't recognize the signs. I knew that I was different than everybody and I didn't fit in. And, my intuition has always been strong right from when I was a child. So, yeah, I feel I was this way all along. It just came out stronger after I got into my accident.
Now, I know from our conversations and getting to know you over these couple of years and stuff that because of that and other dynamics, it also took you to an even darker place that many of us find ourselves in, especially high-functioning empaths. It found you struggling with self-medication and not only trying to deal with the dynamics of what was going on inside of you internally from, a psychological, emotional, spiritual level, however you want to frame it, but also from the physical dynamic of, all right, here are the options available to deal with this traumatic type of injury.
Mm-hmm. I actually, I was medicated very heavily with opiates and stuff like that. So, that's my addiction started before, but this kind of, it came back. So it was opiate and, heavier stuff than that to medicate because nothing was working.
Now,
nothing worked.
I know from our conversations, you danced this dance for a few years, and then, like a lot of us, you hit that kind of bottom dynamic, but you also framed it from the internal dynamic, not just so much as, okay, I have a problem with this or that, but what was actually going on inside. And I know we've had some conversations, and it was the framework, within alternative recovery, that the path of recovery is different for everybody because everybody's situations are different. Some of it is physical, some of it is mental, some of it is emotional. It's usually a combination of all of the above. And I know one of the things we talked about was, struggling with that dynamic to make those cognitive choices while also finding a path forward. Yes, I know. Kat had your tongue. It's like, oh, how do I respond to that? No, I mean,
What was the catalyst for you? What was the catalyst that started turning everything around? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, I mean, I guess that's one way to frame it, definitely. In your own
What
words.
was with time, like permanently, when I decided to change permanently there?
Well, what do you
the
feel was
addiction?
really the catalyst that made you decide to go outside the box and look for the answers on your own versus what they were trying to shove down your throat?
Oh, I stopped going because I didn't fit in. Like they were teaching me something completely different than what I believed in. So I had to go outside of the box and look for other people that have been down the road, but have looked for other ways to handle it. That's where my craft has kind of come in handy, like looking for different spells to help me with different things that I'm struggling with along with my addiction.
Now, I know from, again, our conversations that dynamic for you, especially in everyday life, is a continual thing. And like me, you will use sarcasm and humor to deal with some of the fucking stupidity and insanity.
Yes.
Did you have that before, or was that something, again, that kind of developed, as time went on?
No, I think I had that before. I've used that as a coping mechanism for many things in my life. Any hard time that I had, all I had was humor to get past it. Humor, and I had to look for inner strength.
And that's a common dynamic. I've talked about it a lot. And again, we've talked about it, that ability to take a shitty energy and change it into something else. It is a form of magic within itself. It's just, again, we tend to not look at it that way because the word itself, same as witch and other words, have become so polarized, so tainted by language that you can't really get around it. Certain words, you throw it out, and then everything else after that is just fucked. Like a word like fuck.
Very versatile word, that.
It's very versatile, yes. I could use that thing for everything.
But I know when you started doing more of the dream catchers, and we have a bunch of them and stuff, do you look at each one of them and really, beyond the artistic dynamic, do you see elements within, okay, that this is angling towards, this type of defense or this type of magic? Again, whatever word you would choose to use.
Yeah, actually, like I will pick certain stones to help with certain intent. When I'm working on a catcher, I will focus on the intent that I want to put into that catcher as I'm working on it. So I'm working my magic into the webbing as I'm doing it, into the wrapping of the ring as I'm doing it. Same thing with the feathers, right? I do every part of it. There's an intent behind every part that I do.
A lot of magic goes in each one of those twists and knots. I know that we've talked about that knot magic before that you do. It's
Yes,
not just about the how.
I like to
feel.
do. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying it's not just the how you do it; it's the feel that you put into every knot.
Yeah. Yeah, I put a lot of love and energy and time into them. I don't rush the project. I want it to be individual too, so I never make two the same. There's always something different.
They're unique in each and every one of them. Yeah, that's one of the things I've noticed.
Always something.
Right. Now, for those of you that can see, and I'll describe it for those of you who can, I have up one of the dream catchers from her Facebook site, and it's the owl one you did with the kind of snow mountain thing. It has more of like the brown golden
catcher and a catcher moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now, I thought, and I still think, that that's an incredibly beautiful piece of work. Can you tell us a little bit about how that was born, the process when you made that particular one? Was that a specific request one, or was that one that just basically was kind of born of a moment with you?
It was born of a moment. So when I go into stores, I will stand into a craft section and I'll just look at it. And whatever calls to me, I pull. I may not have a project for it right at that present time, but I will grab it anyways, because I know that eventually I will use that for something down the line. So I came across these owls, and they're like a laminated sticker almost. So I put it onto a harder surface, and I kind of just went from there. When I think of owl, I think of trees, I think of mountains, I think of, the outdoors, right? So I wanted to make it very nature-like. And I usually just get an inspiration just from a picture or a piece of material. Sometimes I'll stand in front of my shelf and just look at it and think, hey, what are we making today? And I will be called to make a specific project.
Now, I know also from talking to you and following you now for a few, you and Larry go out into the world, as they say, a lot. You fish, you go out into the woods and stuff. So I also know that you take a lot of inspiration from raw dynamics when you go out and about. Now, is that a dynamic that, again, that you just kind of, as they say, trust the force if something speaks to you in a moment? Or do you sometimes specifically have, specific dynamics of how you go seeking that kind of stuff out?
No, I just walk around, and whatever calls to me is where I go. I trust the universe is going to lead me in the right direction, so I just listen.
No.
And that's how a lot of my stuff is born.
So you basically use the force.
The odd time I'll get a custom order, and then I have to really focus. But a lot of times I just let my intuition guide me.
Now, I know one of the things that you recently have started doing are these little spell gardens, and I think they're incredibly beautiful. And I have the one up, the anti-anxiety spell garden that you have listed and stuff like that. Where did that idea for you come from?
I was meditating, and I had a read done once, and I was told that a new project was going to come. So I was told to meditate on it, and I did. And then all of a sudden, these little Zen gardens came into the picture, and I like to bring my ideas to Shiya. So I brought it to Shiya, and we had discussed it, and, spell garden is what came out of this. But it all started from just meditation, just popping up in my head. I saw a very clear picture of it and had to run with it.
Now, in regards, and again, for those of you who can't see the particular spell garden, you can go to our Facebook site, Hart's Creations, Hart, Harts. I'm correct in that, right?
Harts Creations. The link is in the information for this video.
Yes, the link is in the information for this video. For those of you technically inclined, you can actually just click that, I think, right?
Yep,
is that how it fucking works? That's how it fucking works.
Yeah, you just, put the mouse, put the finger on it, go tap.
And that's how it works.
Yep.
But for those of you who can't see, I see a line of crystals in there. Now, I'm not a crystal guy. I never pretend to be. Are those specific crystals, or do you do this, like I know, again, that you do a lot of the things that you do? Do you put them together specifically based on certain types of elements and or the person?
Yeah, I do research on the crystals specifically for what I'm trying to create. So if it's an anti-anxiety one, then I'll go and research crystals for an anti-anxiety one. And I kind of just put them together. But when I'm picking those crystals, I feel them before I pick. So I hold the crystal to make sure that it's the right one for that project.
So you do follow a kind of ritual in regards to how you not only design them, but actually put these things together.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Can you talk about the symbol that's on the power box for the spell garden?
For the spell garden,
we're looking at the one that you have for anxiety.
I research again. Sorry, go ahead. I missed that.
I said we're looking at your anti-anxiety one, as he said.
Okay, so the anti-anxiety one, I did research again to find different sigils. I eventually want to make my own, but I've been just doing research on ones that are very common. So I will pick that sigil and then I will infuse it with a resin, whether it be dragon's blood, frankincense, whatever is more corresponding to the spell that I'm wanting to create. Once I get the sigil put on there, I then focus on the sigil and I like meditate with it, right? To activate it, to get it active. And then there you go. It's ready to go.
So every part of this has magic in it.
Yes, every part.
And there's a couple different layers, obviously, because again, it's not just a simple thing of just, okay, this rock, that rock. And, there's obviously a couple of layers, even in just this, basic, setup and stuff. And I mean, again, I've looked at some of this stuff. This is the insane thing. And I mean, again, not just because you're my friend, I've seen shit like this going out on places like Etsy for, $200, $300, because, this is, this type of...
charge is not enough. I'll tell you that.
You build these and you send them out for $40, right? I'm not, I'm looking at the graphic and I'm saying, is there a digit missing? You know what I mean? Because it's just like $40.
Oh, and I had to talk to her and tell her, no, you need to make sure that you are not losing money on these things, girl.
So, but I am correct that you put them together individually and send them out for $40 each, right?
Yeah, $40 US. It depends on which ones you're getting. So the anti-anxiety one, I believe, is $45. Oh no, it's $40 for that one. Yeah, I send them out quite cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, again, I think you could probably get more for them, but, for anybody that actually is into this type of stuff, especially in the dynamic of, real, honest type of, craftsmanship, for $40, you can't even go out to McDonald's. Especially, you can't even you can't take, a family to McDonald's these days for $40.
Heck, a dinner for two at McDonald's is $40 these days.
Yeah, no, you can do it for
you're right.
With tax, maybe almost $30.
Well,
but
my thing is I want every walk of life to be able to afford my stuff and enjoy it. So I try to make it that way.
That's incredible. You know what I mean? Again, especially in this day and age, and it kind of is going to segue into the comedy part. Now, part of this also too, and, we all talked about this beforehand. It's tough for us sometimes to vocalize, to be able to, talk about how we feel, what we've been through and stuff. And especially in the dynamic of how feelings tend to get dismissed. We get judged. Oh, you're weird. What's wrong with you? All that type of shit. I know you were, to some degrees, terrified about coming out here and actually just, hanging out and talking like we do.
Yes, very terrified.
Are you still terrified?
I was extremely nervous. I got all blotchy and everything.
But you're doing great,
Horrible.
and again, this kind of really, opens up into, my next little segment. And, here's the flip side. You know what I mean? A lot of times, and especially for women, and we joked about it, you feel, because I can't relate to that. Wow, that was a fucking stepped in my own shit moment. It's like, no, I can't say that.
I think I shit myself.
Women have expressed to me that many times that they feel that the only dynamic that they have to play upon is their sexuality.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of ding-a-ling going on right now within the framework of, OnlyFans and, the polarization with sexuality and stuff. And you and I had the running joke was, well, listen, you found a path forward. You didn't go out there and sell your asshole, versus, coming up with something, because you could have easily done it. Listen, I've seen you, and compared to some of the fucking monstrosities that I have seen out there, you could easily get away with it, but you chose to take a different path. Now, that's not to say or, belittle anybody else that's maybe had to go the other way for whatever reason. But again, in the dynamic, you've had to struggle with that element, the double end of the spectrum, for many years.
Yes. Yes, very. Like, are you talking about like people judging and stuff? Is that what?
Well,
what
I mean,
No, I mean,
some of it is that
trying to find a way to make a living and work on your spiritual path and growth and all that sort of
and
thing.
not get dragged down the rabbit hole with how everybody else interprets it.
Oh, some days are harder than others.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
Very much so. Some days I struggle with keeping that dynamic straight. And, that there's also days that I have to take a break because it's too much. Sometimes you have to separate yourself. And yeah, there's no shame in that.
But I also know one of the things that you do also on the flip side is you do the workout inspirational videos, because you do believe in trying to take care of yourself, working on the dynamic, not only of your own self-image, but also, promoting the dynamic for people to feel good, or at least try and feel better about what they do or how they go about doing it. Now, was that something that was born out of something else, or was that just, again, another interpretation for you of, adapting your process of recovery?
That came from the accident because I had so much damage. I had to strengthen my body to be able to go forward because there was a lot of things that I was unable to do. So I had to, like, they told me I wasn't going to fish again. I wasn't going to be able to hike again. Well, forget that noise. Those are things that I love. I wasn't going to stop. So I had to strengthen my body. So, the heavier you are, the more weight you put on your bones and stuff. So I had to take some of that weight off to take the pressure off. And so I didn't hurt as much. So it's just to pretty much function every day.
But you also felt some backlash on the other end, and I know this came up for you not that long ago, that in doing that, because you were presenting yourself in that dynamic, some people took it out of context and actually were offended, quote unquote, because we can't really honestly say it was anything more than, hey, when you can't look at yourself in the mirror, it's easier to point at fucking somebody else. But also in the same dynamic, you felt almost compelled, I think, in our conversations that, am I somehow sending the wrong message? And, I don't think you were in any real dynamic of any reality. Granted, people are going to respond how they respond regardless of what you do.
Just a little backstory. Somebody literally got offended at Ashley, who's been posting her fitness and her inspirational journey, that she was posting something about, anybody can work on being healthy. And somebody took offense to that, right, Ashley?
Oh, yes. Somebody took huge offense to that. And all I was pretty much saying is it's built on mindset. So as long as you put your mindset to something, anything is possible, as long as you work hard at it. If you feel that you're going to fail, then you're going to fail, right? And that's pretty much what I was saying on my post is mindset to it. And she took great offense to that, definitely. Felt that I was a know-it-all and, I'm pushing my ways on others and I'm not understanding that people have limitations, but I'm one that knows limitations.
Yeah,
So,
you literally were knocked on your
mental.
ass. You were not supposed to be able to walk.
Sorry?
I said, you were literally knocked on your ass. You weren't supposed to be able to get up and walk around again.
No, I wasn't. So, when people say that they can't do something, I try to tell them that they can. And if they don't listen, then that's them, right? And because I know that anything is possible as long as
you're living proof of that. Absolutely right.
Yeah, it's going to take hard work. Yeah, you're probably going to stumble while you do it, but keep going because eventually you're going to get it.
Now, I know we also talked about the dynamic that it's also reflective of the social conditioning, especially unfortunately for women, that body imagery is so overpolarized, so over, pointed, that for a lot of people, even amongst other women, that anything that even, remotely threatens that dynamic now becomes overblown. And I know you've had to struggle with those dynamics in trying to be your own person in that dynamic. And I'm sure there's a lot of women who've gone through this as well, too, that, when you're trying to dance both ends of the spectrum, be intelligent, be thoughtful, to try and be the best person you can be, but always having to fight the sexual dynamic that is the conditioning. You know what I mean? I know, again, case in point analogy, you've had to struggle this like I have, as a parent, and our children and how they now interact in the world, and how these dynamics, again, they go down generationally.
Yeah, it just keeps passing down. I struggled with, being overweight most of my life. And it all came from, I did not have people that supported that. They were very hard on me, made fun of me. My grandmother especially, she used to make fun of my weight and stuff. And you had to look a specific way. You've got to have a certain figure, that kind of thing. And she's been like that, and then passed it on to my mom. And then my mom passed it on to me, and had to break that, because that's not a good life to live. You have to be comfortable in your body.
Well, I know in you sharing your story that set the stage for a lot of the early traumas and conditionings for you as you went and took this into an adult framework. Because again, the world, the reality that we live in sometimes forces us to use the only dynamics that we believe we have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you say that also led into some of the dynamics of the self-medication? Because I know for myself, even though I didn't have the same types of experiences, when we kind of, channel everything inwardly, especially when we're having to play a part on the outside, that usually reflects in that self-medication, because we simply just don't want to feel this shit. We don't want to have to even really be cognitive of the things that we have to do, aka to survive.
Yeah, definitely. Self-medication was a way to numb those feelings. If you are on a fix, right, you don't have to worry about all the crap that's going on around you. And that's exactly where it came from, starting at a young age and having to deal with a lot of those feelings and stuff on my own, and a mother that was very dysfunctional, right? Yeah, I started self-medicating very young. I was 14, and it just kind of progressed. And, those family generational cycles, right? I lived the same thing as my grandma, my mom. It all passed down those lines, and that's the best way to deal with it was drugs. That was the only way I knew how. I didn't have support or understanding or, a functional family that could help.
Yeah, again, as you said, the generational dynamic, we kind of tend to reflect that which we see. So, I also had a very similar dynamic. I saw the adults around me doing the things that they did to compensate, to supposedly, because I think a lot of it starts believing that this is how we're supposed to have a good time. This is how we're supposed to be adults. If we don't do these things, people will think less of us. And then the next thing we know, they're now either defensive mechanisms, or their self-medication, or escapism, or again, whatever you want to call it. And I know we talked about that a lot, in that basic recovery says, okay, stop drinking, stop taking drugs, and everything will be fine. And we both know that that's not fucking true at all.
No, it's a daily battle. Even though I have 6 years of sobriety under my belt, there's still days that I struggle. We have to learn new coping skills, right? So it's a process. It doesn't come overnight. And of course you stumble. But you get to a point where it's a little bit easier. But like I said, I still have days.
But you've also incorporated more dynamics of what I call practical magic into your life to, as you say, not only compensate, but to also set the stage and, in many ways help other people. I know one of the things that you do, outside the box, you're constantly interacting through different groups and stuff, making yourself available as a caretaker, as an empath. So it's kind of, almost like you said, this constant process of give and take, and then, learning the dynamics. As you say, some of it is we all have our bad days, and then we all get hit with things, and then we just like, okay, well, how am I supposed to fucking handle this now?
Yeah.
What keeps you giving
sometimes
back?
you have to reach out to other people.
But also in the same instance, we have to be cognitive not to get
the time,
right, not to get drained, because I know that's one of the other things that we struggle with as empaths is that we tend to give, and then find ourselves with nothing when we need it for ourselves.
Completely empty. We'll empty ourselves just to lift others up.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm working on trying to balance that. That's a tough one.
What are some of the things that
I don't know how to say no.
Well, what are some of the things that you do practically, for yourself that you find work?
Well, I have to put my phone down, and I'll have to purposely leave it at home and go for a walk. And yeah, I smoke marijuana. Life.
Little bit of Mary Jane.
Yeah, that was great. It was just like you're all like we're talk real quietly. And it's just like sometimes I put my phone down, I go for a walk, and then I smoke weed.
Are you there? Are you back?
Well, listen. I mean, again, here is the truth with any.
My internet is kind of shoddy. Sorry.
Oh, no, all right. So yeah, you probably got lost in the laughter. The dynamic sometimes, again, is the lesser of the two evils. Like, again, for you, with some of the stuff you've had to go through, you don't have a lot of practical choice if you want to have any amount of functionability. So given the options of pharmaceuticals and opiates versus weed, it really is a fucking no-brainer, right? I mean, again, at least from the basic science, and you've done the research like I have, but they wanted you to go down this particular road and, keep you a fucking zombie. And again, a lot of people, when they go down that road, they don't come back. Once you go into the deep end of the cycle, especially with pharmaceuticals, it's specifically designed as a forever kind of thing. And you said, no, you took a cognitive stance and said, this is not how I'm going to live my life.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be medicated like that. I couldn't even think straight. I remember my daughter, when I was heavily medicated, my oldest daughter had to prop me up because I did like what I call the weeble wobble, right? I couldn't even stand up straight because they had me so over medicated, and that was enough. I did not want to go down that road that I went through with the other addiction, right? So I said, no, I'm taking myself off completely. And then I started researching marijuana very hard as to what I could use and what I couldn't. There are strains that bother my brain. I get head tingles more often if I smoke like a sativa. So I have to be careful with what I smoke. But again, it's taken a lot of research and trial and error to get to where I am now.
But you made it a practical process. You didn't just go full on Cheech and Chong. You actually found a dynamic that worked for you in your recovery. And I mean, again, knowing you the way that I do, you're more functionable than most so-called straight people, at least in the basic dynamic. I mean, you run your own business, you do these things, you're active not only within the community, but within, the scope of your own life. So, it's not like, you're Jay and Silent Bob on some type of fucking cross-country bullshit tour.
No, I function way better. If I smoke, I can do anything, like function properly. My brain slows down enough that I can think. My body doesn't hurt, so I can sit for a long period of time or, get up. It's a good medication for me. It works better than anything else.
But not something that's generally accepted within the mainstream, quote unquote, recovery dynamics, which again, you and I have talked about, and we'll always talk about this, why it's so important, in the framework of dialogue, that people know and understand that there are many different paths. Recovery is unique to the individual.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I only heard some of that. You're cutting out because the internet is not.
No, we were talking about the dynamic of alternate recovery, that within mainstream recovery, a lot of times these dynamics are dismissed or they're frowned upon or, outright contradicted. And the simple truth of it is that everybody's process of recovery is different.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Like, people will judge you and not know all the facts, right? That's the problem. If you're in a program, a lot of people are very strict with their program. You have to be this way, or this way. It makes it hard. Everybody's recovery is their own. They choose what works for them, right? You don't get to dictate how a recovery works for somebody. Just because it works for one person this way doesn't mean it's going to work the same way for another person, right? So, yeah, it's another reason why I don't go to meetings, is because I don't fit in there, because they think that what I do is against the rules.
And it's also a context of, and it's something a lot of us have seen, it's one of the reasons why I don't do meetings, quote unquote, or any of that type of stuff, that a lot of the dynamics, especially when you're dealing with large groups of people, are based from somebody else's perspective. So you have that kind of mob mentality, that social conditioning that, okay, we're all going to act like this. And if you don't act like this, again, you're different, you're outside, you're not part of.
Yeah. It's silly how that works, right? It's kind of like the whole church thing. You got to believe a certain thing in order to walk their walk. No, I don't fit in a box. So yeah, I just better to stay away from that stuff. Like, obviously do what's right for you, but don't try and shove everybody in the same box, because we're not the same, right? So I don't know. That's my belief, is to just find other dynamics to deal with it. Find a tribe that can understand, right? That's why we did the whole alternative recovery, was so that we have a safe space for other people to come without judgment.
And it's part of the reason I do the podcast, and part of the reason we all do a lot of the things that we do. And it does go beyond just the recovery dynamic, because I talk about this, that we're all in some element of recovery. Maybe we're recovering from alcohol. Maybe we're recovering from sexual abuse. Maybe we're recovering from low self-esteem. Maybe we're recovering from a physical trauma. Recovery is still recovery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those dynamics, the internal dynamics, or the empathy equation, is really the core of all of it, because everything else is just symptoms. They're symptomatic of what the fuck is going on inside of us. So you can act out, and you and I have joked about this, and we have a similar dynamic. We may not act out in the same ways we did before, but we still have to watch ourselves, because now we're unfiltered. We're raw. So now you don't have the luxury of us being all fucked up and maybe just fading into the wind. No, we're actually alert with it, and much more probably, again, my context is the wolf, to bite your fucking throat out. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, and I've heard the analogy, it's like, you were so much nicer when you were fucked up on drugs, man. I'm like, yeah, be careful what you wish for. Now you got it.
Yeah, it changes the personality a little bit. You get us more in the raw, 100%. And then you have to kind of like figure out if it's acceptable or not, and kind of rein it in if you need to. But take me as I am, or don't. That's your choice.
But I also know you roll with a lot of compassion. Probably, again, like myself and Shiya and others, too much. The classic, empath paradox of being great to help everybody else, but just really shitty at helping ourselves. So you still struggle with those dynamics, even though you've gone through all the things you've gone through. You know, even as Shiya said, you know, sometimes we have to look into each other for inspiration, not just because of the things that we're doing in the moment, because of the things that we went through before.
We went through before, absolutely.
How do you maintain your motivation to
How do I
continue to
maintain my
grow
motivation?
and
That's a
do
good
your magic
question.
and everything?
I have two choices. I can either cave or I can fight. So, if I want to be able to climb a mountain, I got to continue to work out. It's little steps. Got to keep pushing. And that's how I look at it. I either crumble to defeat or I rise above it. And every day, some days I have issues with staying motivated, but then I look at myself and say, what the hell are you doing? Get up and get your shit together.
Well,
I don't let myself slack.
It is the purest core of self-motivation, and, you know, Shiya talks about it, the context of manifestation. You know what I mean? They're just plays on words. They really represent the same dynamic of how we push ourselves, how we challenge ourselves. And some of it is just, you know, again, that internal core of survival, you know, being able to tap into it and using it to not just get by, but to get us where we want to go. AKA your example, climb the mountain.
And let me say, Ashley, you are and have been for a very long time an inspiration for me. You're an inspiring woman.
Aw, thank you. You inspire me every day too. And that's what I try to do, is just inspire and help others. That's the whole point. You know, why be against each other when you can inspire each other and lift each other up?
Oh, beautifully said. Strength in numbers. It really is a simple dynamic. So I'm gonna throw your little graphic promo thing up again before we jump out from you. Again, Hart's Creations, Dream Catchers with Intention, and it's facebook.com/Harts, HARTS -creations. Do you have anything you would like to share in regards to anything with, you know, Hart's Creations or what you have going on now?
No, actually, we talked about the Zen Gardens, and, you know, I'm taking custom orders, and I'm still trying to find new things and stuff to make. So
yeah, definitely take advantage of Ashley while you can. Because soon she's going to be on OnlyFans, and it's going to cost so much fucking money to get anywhere near her magic. Okay, I'm telling you. Because what's happening, for those of you who don't know, OnlyFans is being forced to kind of segue out from the whole pornography thing. It's fucking old. It's outdated. Don't get me wrong. You know, again, you want to go do porn. There's places to go do porn. But they're basically going to be forced to, you know, do other stuff. So eventually OnlyFans is going to be magic crystals. It's going to become Etsy on steroids. So, you know, eventually you'll have to go somewhere else to find your porn. But in the meantime, and all joking aside, the stuff that you do, that is really, I mean, again, just from a simple price type of thing, I dare anybody to find the quality for cheaper. So, you know, take advantage of it before Ashley realizes she can and will charge more.
She should. I keep telling her she should. But yeah, you guys want anything, and let me tell you, you want a dream catcher for your kids that is a character or something, she will do it. You tell her, hey, my kid loves this. She'll like, okay, we'll theme a dream catcher around it. And I mean, wow. Sometimes, Ashley, you blow me out of the water with some of your designs. Yeah,
well, I mean, she does a lot of stuff. You know, I put up, you know, as a final image. It looks like one like a ceremonial stick. It has a bunch of like plant and the blue feathers on it.
The fans?
Is that a fan or
fans?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? A fan? See, again, I'm not a witch. I don't know these things. I'm a fucking wolf.
He's talking about the smudge fans. One of the
smudge
colorful smudge fans you did.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I usually use feathers that I've either found or I have gotten from a close friend. I've got a couple friends that have farms and stuff, so I get a lot of my feathers from them. So most of the time, I will do artificial feathers, especially if I'm crossing the border. So like I can't do hawk feathers or anything like that. So they have to be artificial ones. But anything else I can do goose and stuff. Yeah, I'll go around and collect feathers and give them a clean and, cleanse them and then use them.
Beautiful. Listen, thank you again for coming out. Again, Hart's Creations. That's Hart, Harts dash Creations. You can check her out on Facebook or reach out to Shiya. She's very active within our group and community, and I'm sure everybody will see you. Thanks again for coming out, hon, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a great night.
Night, Ashley.
Good night.
So, yeah, that was our sister Ashley Hart. An interview with a witch. One of the things I found over the years, and greetings to everybody, JB and Derek. Peter, great to see you. Brother Jonathan, Christine, thank you all for joining us. Again, one of the things I've always been impressed, and what has always drawn me to Ashley, is her ability to understand people. Now, granted, this was absolutely terrifying for her, and I know she's going to go back, and she's going to listen to this, and she's going to second guess herself, and she's going to cry, and Shiya and I are going to be like, listen, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Awesome.
You are who you are. But let me tell you, I've known a lot of people in the years, and again, not to blow smoke up anybody's ass, but she has a true core of compassion, real empathy, not the just, when it's convenient or because somebody's looking. I mean, a real deep, honest compassion.
Yes.
So definitely, check her out. We believe in strength in numbers. And again, even, spending a couple of bucks, getting a dream catcher, a little rock garden, a smudge stick or whatever goes a long way into supporting the community. So,
when you support a small business, you're supporting dreams.
yes, you are. Yes, you are. So again, we were talking a little bit, and I've been doing my means dance, and I did this one, and this is also again reflective of what I was talking about earlier. That comedy does reflect sometimes what side of the fence you're on. So Candace Owens has taken a lot of heat for saying some fucked up shit. But the other side of the coin, what I mean, again, and this particular caption, and this is some Fox News, Tucker Carlson comedy, conservatives. Women are being too sexy. And Candace Owens went out publicly and made a statement that highly sexual, wet-ass pussy performance at the Grammys hailed as art. Basically, that freaked a lot of people out. Okay, well, all right, that's fine. But conservatives on the other side of the scale, M&Ms are not being sexy enough. Miserable, non-binary candy is all we deserve. Again, for whatever this is worth, I don't know about you, but I don't look at my M&Ms in a sexual kind of way, okay? I would humbly suggest, regardless of what end of the spectrum, that if you're looking at M&Ms that way, you've got bigger fucking problems.
Oh, yeah.
Now, again, on the other side of the dynamic, and this is from the right side of the coin, and I think this is fucking equally as funny, and I think it is valid to certain degrees. You can see the animation is Kanye and Owens in a red vehicle, a.k.a. the right, getting pulled over by a cranky old white cop, and his helmet says the left, and basically the joke is, I pulled you over for driving while conservative. And yeah, I'm sorry, I gotta say it, some people out on the left, just as fucking bad, man. You know what I mean? Just as bad. So when people feel attacked, when they feel persecuted, it doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you are, most people they're going to react. And sometimes the only way they can react is with comedy and sarcasm and such. Now, again, when you take something like Toy Story and this popular meme basically says Candace Owens is a Nazi, because she is. Don't ask why. It's just begging the claim. Which basically is saying, just because somebody says it, just fucking accept it. And I don't agree with that. I don't like a lot of what she says. But she's not a fucking Nazi, okay? Trust me when I tell you, okay? She's not a fucking Nazi, all right? That doesn't really compute if you know anything about your fucking history. Again, context matters, okay? Especially when you're looking at it through the fucking lens of media, okay? Don't kid yourself. All of it is driven with more intent. The lines between journalism and sarcasm have blurred beyond 50 shades of fucking gray. But people should still be able to express themselves. Now, again, some other things going on in the world. A lot of criticism with this OnlyFans stuff. But this little meme says, and here's the dynamic, hey kid, you want that PS5 or not? Yeah, there are actually women out there that are doing it, so that way they can buy their kids shit. All right? So yes, there is a case to be made. However, on the other side of the coin, Twitter, I hate men. OnlyFans, hi kings, hope you're having a fantastic day. Tip me to see my biddies, he he he. Yeah, a lot of us really look at this as a kind of double-edged hypocrisy that on one end of the spectrum, please don't sexualize us, but you can go to my OnlyFans and jerk off to your heart's content for only $19.99 a month. I don't begrudge people what they do. Just, hey, let's be fucking honest about it. But Sydney Leathers, who's quite popular on OnlyFans, now I don't know this, I'm going by what the internet has told me. But Sydney Leathers says, and I quote, the evangelical women trying to make OnlyFans disappear don't realize if I lose that income, I'll start fucking their husbands for money again. Okay? There it is, boys and girls. If it isn't happening on the internet, it's happening someplace else. So, ladies, do you want your men sitting at home jerking off for $19.95 a month and probably not catching a venereal disease of some type, or you want them out fucking the hose again? That's really the question that some of you are going to have to ask yourselves. Me personally, I got a wish. I'm good. Now, some of us also realize, and this meme I think is very direct, and you have a woman with a gun looking angrily at my cool man in his shades, and her caption simply is, subscribe to my OnlyFans. And Mr. Cool Guy's response is, I Google big boob and get 2 billion result. Yeah, there it is. There is so much fucking porn out there that even a 3-year-old child can access it. Now, I'm not going to debate whether it should be that way. Is it good to be that way? I come from the school of parenting that I pay attention to what my kid was doing, so again, I wasn't really all that worried about it, but hey, there it is. OnlyFans is just really, fantasy, and that fantasy is everywhere. Now, the other side of the coin for the kids, and you can see from this caption, this boy is very unhappy, and the girl behind him is like, holy shit. Now, these are children. And here's the real caption. When it's Parent Career Day, and your mom starts talking about her Snapchat Premium OnlyFans. And anybody who's been following the news at all has seen a couple of, there's been a couple of teachers and parents and stuff that have been, getting called out because they're flashing their shit on OnlyFans. Again, context, it is what it is. So why is it that, again, it's okay for this person to do it, and Iggy Azalea, fucking Cardi B, or any of these other quote-unquote women, and I say that loosely, but that's just me. Hey, comedy, remember. But children, okay? So we're so worried about, hey, maybe there's a drag queen that's going to dance around and make our children gay, but this poor fucking kid has to fucking go through parent career day and deal with the fact that his mom's pussy is on OnlyFans, okay? It cuts both ways, man. It cuts both ways. This is another Toy Story meme. When you start an OnlyFans, but your dick pics show up first when people sort by lowest price first. And the comedic punch is, oh, Woody, you're worth more than that. Yeah, guys are doing it too. Now, we don't talk about it as much because, hey, when men do shit, it's okay because we're fucking men. When women do it, they're whores. Double standard, maybe? I don't know. I'll leave that for you folks to decide. Me personally, I like this one because this is the imagery that comes to my mind. I don't care who the fuck you are, okay? But in my mind, when somebody's like, hey, check out my OnlyFans, this is what I see. I see a monstrous beast trying to lick its own asshole. Now, everybody that knows me has followed my show at all, and my comedy knows that usually I don't have a problem with the licking of assholes. It's how we discovered artificial flavoring. So, beaver assholes are fine, but this is downright fucking scary, man. Okay, like M&Ms. I don't understand how this creates a dynamic. Now, again, if this is what you're into, cool, but let's call it for what it is. Okay? Horror. Horror, 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 horror. Now, again, I would be remiss if I didn't throw a Donald Trump one in there, and it's basically Donald sitting on his plane looking at his phone, and the caption is, me watching our bank account hit Lego Death Star Millennium Falcon levels. On the other side of the meme is little girl daddy's girl, Ivana. My girl making new content for her OnlyFans. Now, again,
I'm in the money.
Depending upon what end of the spectrum you're on, this may translate differently. Some people may look and say that and say, well, maybe daddy's been fucking his daughter a little bit too much. Maybe daughter has some daddy issues. Maybe daddy's been pimping daughter for too many years. Again, make it of it what you will. Everything is relevant to perspective. Now, I saved one of the best ones for last.
No.
And this one really. Listen, my brother Derek just nailed it. My brother Derek says he's starting an OnlyFans for his feet. I am 100%. That's the way you deal with these things. You flood it with shit that's just so completely outside the box that it just dilutes everything else. Listen, I personally, you know what I mean? I've thought about basically, putting one of those GoPros on the back of my cat's tail and just broadcasting her ass and just literally putting it up there, just fucking live casting it and see how many people pay for it.
To see a cat's ass.
Right. Well, they're getting, listen, most of women, like if you look at the statistics, most of the OnlyFans sites are fucking clickbait. Okay, there's some, like anime fan service, some nice, bend over shots, maybe you get a little nipple, but most of it is fucking tame, you know what I mean? Most of the real pornos like on Pornhub or fucking Jerkmates or, fuckachicken.com or whatever the fuck it is. But I'm with Derek, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, everybody should fucking get on it, you know what I mean? Listen, there are women that sell their dirty underwear, that sell their piss and their bathwater. There are fucking female musicians that are using it to sell their music. It's like, hi, if you buy my pussy, you get to hear my song. Again, if that's what works, I don't want to come across as being, anti-woman, because I'm not. If that's what you got to do, that's what you do. But let's just be honest about it. Let's not pretend it's something else. And surely you do not get to point the finger. Like, I will tell you now, again, I have more respect for women who go out there and actually have to deal with men in person, be it as a waitress at Hooters, be it as a stripper on a pole. Okay, again, no offense to any of them. But they're dealing with the real shit. You know, the women that are sitting on the fucking cam are fucking laughing their asses off because they're just guys somewhere remotely doing whatever they do. The women that are out there on the front lines dealing with these assholes, they got to smell them, they get touched by them, they get assaulted by them. So, you know what I mean? I don't think that an OnlyFans thing is all that fucking brave, okay? Again, I got more respect for the porn stars that are taking 12 black dicks in their ass to make a living than, you know, some fucking 19-year-old girl twiddling her panties laughing, hee hee hee. Do you want to see more? Pay me money now. Okay? I'm sorry. You have to respect a woman. And again, that's not to be an asshole about it, all right? No woman should ever have to feel forced. But the world is what it is, and the reality is what we know it is, and women have to do what they have to fucking do to survive, and nobody's got the right to point the finger at anybody else unless it's affecting them. But in the same instance, and for those of you who can't see this beauty, it's a Rick and Morty, and it's Jerry.
No.
And it's Jerry looking very disturbed. Shut your mouth, woman. Jerry's looking disturbed, and Jerry's got a nice camcorder in his hand. And the caption is, and I'm not saying this applies to anybody here right now, but it probably applies to somebody, and I'm thinking many people in other places, maybe Romania, maybe Brooklyn, maybe Monmouth Junction, New Jersey. I don't know. I'm just saying. But the caption says this: me filming my girl cucking me for her OnlyFans so she can fund my rap career that's heading nowhere. Yeah, that's a real thing, boys and girls. Okay? The pimp game has expanded. Okay? So all these wannabe motherfuckers who think, yeah, my shit, you're just fucking shitty pimps. That's all you are. Okay? And the fact that you somehow are able to justify that your girl is cucking for OnlyFans so you can fund your fucking imaginary fucking rap career, that's fucking comedy gold. Please, 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 please keep doing it. Keep doing it. Oh, I can't tell you how grateful I am for this kind of comedy because it's fucking real. Art imitates life, and life, unfortunately, imitates art. Jamie's like, I was a paid dominate, great money to step on balls.
There you go.
Listen, that's real shit, too. German Scheiser porn. Literally, women just taking a shit. Big bucks. So, ladies, listen, again, if you're feeling, like there's no other path, trust me, there are. But again, and not to, again, begrudge or belittle like what my sister Ashley Hart has done, she didn't take that route, okay? She found a different path. Now, that doesn't mean that women who have to go the other way are less than, but you don't have to go on OnlyFans to fund your shitty boyfriend's rap career. Tell him to go get a fucking job, okay? Now, in the world of memes, things can get flipped. So you can have this one aspect, and this is a classic clip, the Buddy Jesus, from a Kevin Smith movie called Domino. But here we have Buddy Jesus, and the caption is, women trying to get equal rights. On the bottom, God making women to serve men.
Oh.
Now, I don't remember God personally telling me anything about that dynamic, but if you look at the religious dogma, okay, it does tend to say and kind of imply that, hey, you know what I mean? No matter what you do, God's the man. So, you're less than. Thumbs up. Love you.
Oh my God.
But the other side of the coin, and just as easily how things flip around, here's the same buddy Jesus. However, this meme caption is a whole lot fucking different. And this one says, I like my cheese like I like my kids. 8 years old and easy to eat.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No.
Now, again,
Oh.
there is a factual relevance because the Catholic Church, unfortunately, is notorious for predatory behavior on children. If that wasn't the case, they wouldn't have lost close to, $3.5 billion in payouts and settlements to these imaginary abused children. Now, I can say, okay, again, all joking aside, I know for a fact that that shit's real because I've seen it firsthand, okay? But hey, buddy Jesus says, hey, that's okay. You know what I mean? Because I'm Jesus. Now, personally, again, I don't believe Jesus bought into any of that shit. I think if Jesus were around, he'd be fucking some people up. And I think a lot of those people would be people dancing in his name. Now, I know my brother Jonathan agrees with that dynamic, but hey, you know what I mean? Again, play fucked up games, win fucked up prizes.
Oh, yeah.
It is, unfortunately, how it is. So, yes, that dances us around, some of the things that are going on in the world. And again, I believe that, especially within the dynamic of culture, that memes have a special place now within our society. And again, how stories are passed along, because now we can take snippets, we can take images, Gandalf, the mighty wizard. Don't eat Taco Bell or you'll shit yourself. I mean, again, there's a
shit the bed.
Wizard is shit the bed. You can take any dynamics and cross it over and play it into, it is like the ultimate game of fucking Twister, that you can just take reality and twist it into anything just about that you can imagine. Now, technology allows us to, again, take it to the degree that a lot of what you think you're seeing out there isn't real. It just isn't. You know what I mean? And it's hard. You know what I mean? It's hard sometimes to say, well, what the fuck is this versus what the fuck is that? Every other day on fucking my phone, I see shit if somebody else has found Bigfoot. There's another fucking UFO flying through some fucking town. There are mermaids washing up in Miami Beach, and there's predatory transvestite clowns hiding in every school trying to make children gay. On top of the satanic Democrats who have a base in D.C. and a pizza parlor and are eating small.
I was just thinking about the pizza parlor.
I don't know. Again, to some degree, it's hard to say, okay, well, is this real or is that not real? Certain dynamics of things, I think, are safe to say. And again, I'm not trying to piss anybody off, but I'm gonna. Basic science, like, the earth isn't flat, man. All right? If these earthquakes and volcanoes and wind and weather and tides and all these other things have not convinced you of the simple dynamic that we live on a fucking planet and not on some flat fucking dingling whatever, then I'm sorry, there's nowhere left to go. You gotta go. That's where it goes. Okay? You gotta go. I'm sorry, there's just no room for it. Now, I can have an easier time dealing with the dynamic, well, this is all just some great Matrix alternate reality playing out in some galactic fuck you fucking Twilight Zone episode. Little bit more disturbing in its context, but okay, not as fucking stupidly crazy as the world is flat. Now, maybe the world is flat in the dynamic if you're backing it up with the whole Matrix thing, so I'll make a case that, well, in the correct context, and if you're going to play your crazy cards correctly, yes, you might be able to create a case. And it's no different of a case than, all life is but a dream and, whatever. And again, maybe, the aliens are just sitting back and, listen, what better fucking comedy? Think about this. If you were an omnipotent species with, all kinds of technology and resource and shit, what's left? You've conquered everything. You've broken the laws of science. Me personally, I'd be desperate for good comedy. And what better comedy than a planet full of fucking idiotic fucking monkeys running around fucking each other, trying to get from point A to point B. It's kind of like the Men in Black, bunch of marbles in a fucking locker analogy that, if you step outside and if you look at us as a species, as a whole, how can you not be fucking either absolutely just fucking terrified at the fucking horror or not look at it as a goddamn comedy show? Now, the horror port is worse for us because if we run into that dynamic, and as every astrophysicist has said, fucking game over, man, because not unlike a virus, everything we've done as a species suggests that we'll destroy whatever the fuck we come into contact with. So we are like super fucking herpes. You know what I mean? We ain't never going away. Once you fuck with us, that's it. We're the disease that keeps on giving. So there would be a logical case as an outside species to look at this and say, oh no, fuck this. We gotta, like the Vorlons, we gotta bulldoze this fucking planet. There's just no way we can let this virus, you know what I mean? But we look at it from this dynamic that, we're the top of the food chain, we're the apex predator. But like I said earlier, we're all gonna get fucked by the mushrooms. You know what I mean? And this is also reflected the dynamic, you fuck around, you play fucked up games, you win fucked up prizes. You know what I mean? So to what degree is it worth it to chase some of these things down the rabbit hole? Again, every day, you hear some bullshit, it's a Chinese balloon. I've heard people say, oh, they put bioweapons in it. It's a prelude to, you know what? They've been doing this shit for fucking years. We've been doing it too, okay? Don't kid yourself. I'm more concerned with North Korea fucking nuking South Korea at this juncture than I am about any fucking Chinese fucking balloon flying over. It's going to be the same dynamic that it plays out every time. It's going to be, political this, blah, blah, that. Nothing's going to really change in the dynamic. And we're the ones that, just keep on running through the hamster wheel. But here's the beautiful dynamic. We have opposable thumbs, okay? So we're not trapped in this fucking cage. You can open up the cage. You can walk the fuck out and say, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to participate in this. It doesn't mean you don't love your country. It doesn't make you a shitty person. But to some degrees, we all have to find that balance for ourselves. It doesn't mean that we just stop paying attention or stop caring, but I think we probably have bigger problems to deal with. And in my experiences, having interacted with people from different places in the world with different cultures, most people in other places feel the same fucking way. They just don't want to get fucked. They don't want to get killed. Okay, they want to be left alone. They just want to live their lives. So again,
thank you.
Just imagine, went on OnlyFans. We all just get naked, we spread our ass cheeks, and then everybody gets to see everybody's asshole, and everybody's paying everybody a fee. So now we don't have to worry about money because everybody's not got money because everybody's paying everybody. And then we don't have to worry about the whole, whose ass is what, because everybody's ass is out there. Okay? So we throw it all on the fucking table.
We're all equally traumatized.
We're all equally in the shit together.
That got dark quick.
Well, you know.
That got dark quick.
Listen, as far as alternate realities go, but
that's a pretty shitty one.
well, you know, I guess it depends on what end of the ass you're on. You know what I mean? Some people actually enjoy that. And for those of you that do, that's cool. You know, that's great. That's you. But for the rest of us, you know what I mean? We got to find a way to dance through the chaos. Yes. Well, you know, yes, sometimes it seems odd, but if you really think about it, you know, again, you cut through all the weird dynamics and why is he talking about assholes again? Well, that's just because it's low-hanging fruit. It's easy. You know what I mean? And those low common denominators are usually easier to communicate, to translate certain ideas, if you will. Most of the stuff going around is just bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's stupid. It's chaotic. It's hurtful. It doesn't do anybody any good. Listen, I mean, again, who cares? Who cares? Because everybody's fucking somebody to some degree or another. You may not actually be sticking your dick in somebody or having a dick stuck in you, but it's just perspective. It doesn't matter.
Anyway.
Doesn't matter, because we all have to deal with different elements of different things, and you may not be getting fucked physically. Maybe you're getting fucked emotionally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. You know what I mean? We all get fucked. Okay? It happens. Sometimes fucking is fun, and sometimes it's not. But we can choose how we deal with some of the crazier and the shittier dynamics. We can fight, as my sister Ashley, I think, so eloquently said. We have to fight. We have to fight against the tide. We have to fight against the fucking apathy. We have to fight against the stupidity. Don't get me wrong. Stupid shit needs to be called out, but in the same dynamic, we shouldn't be canceling people because they post a fucking meme, okay? Don't get me wrong. If you post a meme saying, hey, go out and kill black people because they're less than, yeah, fuck you, you deserve to be canceled. But if you post a fucking, a picture of fucking Hunter Biden running, just fucking Photoshop with some balloons, are we so fucking cowardly? Are we so threatened that a fucking comedic, sarcastic, for all intents and purposes, a fucking cartoon is a threat to our democracy? The threat to our democracy is not fucking listening to each other. The threat to our democracy is not trying to find a common ground. We can't agree on everything, but we can agree on basic things, and we used to, and we need to find our way back to it. Yeah, it's not been perfect. Yes, a lot of it is convoluted with a lot of fucking other things, but we have to think about the bigger picture, the world that we live in. What are we going to leave behind? Okay, what are we willing to do? Even in the simple dynamic, it doesn't mean that you have to go fucking join Greenpeace or, you know, go protest at a Black Lives Matter fucking rally or any of those types of things. And it doesn't make you a racist if you just simply don't want to participate. But also in the same dynamic, our lives are reflective of what we put into it. Okay? That is the simple truth. You can dance around it. We can pretend. And sure, yeah, we can drown ourselves in fantasy like OnlyFans and memes and drugs and alcohol and more sex and more ass and food and then some more sex and whatever.
Whatever happens to feel good and be a distraction.
Right. That is the human equation. I've talked about this a lot. The dynamic is we like what we like and we don't like what we don't like. And everything else between are just variations on the theme. So I'm going to close out tonight's show with, again, one of the older tracks, I guess, in comparison to some of the stuff that we've done. But it's one, again, that I happen to like a lot. Photography was done by a friend of mine, Rick Garrity. And there was another track with Matt Brown, my son, and myself, Jeff Thal. And it's just basically a little take on that perspective, the view below, as we call it. And sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. And even in that picture, we will translate certain things. So the dynamic of when he took these pictures never had any context to the music. The music was done afterwards. So it's my interpretation. It's Matt's interpretation. It's my son's interpretation, not only of those dynamics of the pictures, but the emotions, the feelings, the dynamics, the elements that go with them. So with that, I'm going to close out the show with View Below. Again, keep those submissions coming. I promise we'll be going through them next week. That'll be my first segment. I have a couple of them queued up. I was going to get to them tonight. But hey, this is what happens when you do a live show. We go one way, we get distracted. I start talking about people's assholes, and the next thing you know, hey, the night's almost over. So hey, fun times. So yeah, enjoy the view below. Remember, know that you're loved. Love each other best you can. And until next time, peace out, my friends.
As the world pushes towards the edge, there's a tension ever growing in the air. A child drags the blanket through the mud. She hides her eyes from the gleam of the sun, but we say, as below, so above, it shall be. The so-called trickle down, the piss of royalty. Seas to most certainly his grave. In his wallet, a wrinkled photograph of families embraced by decree of the crown, to war for naught but vain. They send the desperate poor to die, but we say, as above, so below, it will be. Tower of reflective glass, the view below their feet. We see ourselves while looking in, but inside can't be seen. The old proverb speaks true. Something about homes of glass and throwing stones. Well, the rocks have been just streaming down from the top of the palace wall. just a shame if we returned him home.